Do not ask how, do not wonder when. There is a version of you who already holds the wealth, already touched it, already lived the moment it came. And that version lives within you. When I tell you I manifested $140 million, 0 cents in 7 days, I am not speaking of struggle, I am not speaking of hustle. I am speaking of something far deeper, far simpler. The power to imagine, to accept, and to rest in that acceptance. The moment I felt it real, it was done. I didn't chase opportunity. I didn't knock on 100 doors. I didn't beg life to give me more. I sat in stillness and remembered, I am not here to get. I am here to receive what I've already claimed. I saw it. I felt it. I lived the moment money arrived, not just as numbers on a screen, but as the freedom, the joy, the deep peace of knowing, this is mine. 7 days later, reality agreed. Did the world suddenly change? No, I did. My inner world shifted, and the outer had no choice but to reflect it. The mind will tempt you with doubt. It will ask for proof. But hear me. Proof comes after belief, not before. You are not poor trying to get rich. You are rich, waking up from the illusion of lack. Every moment you dwell in lack, you push abundance further. But when you stop seeking and start being, the gates open. 7 days is not a miracle. It's alignment. It's resting in the end and refusing to entertain contradiction. Do not count days. Do not search with your eyes. Look inward. Ask, how does $140 million, 0 cents, feel? And when you feel it, don't just touch the feeling, live there. From that day forward, I refused to think of money as something to earn. I thought of it as something already mine, already done. I didn't try to manifest it. I declared it real. And the world obeyed. So don't chase miracles, become one. Don't ask for permission, assume the throne. It's not about $140 million, 0 cents. It's about knowing who you are and acting like it. Let the world catch up to the truth you already live, and when it does, you won't be surprised. You simply smile and say, I knew it. You are not here to react to the world. You are not a victim of circumstance, nor are you at the mercy of what others do, say, or believe. You are the cause. The world around you, your bank account, your relationships, your experiences, is not the source. It is the mirror, and it reflects with absolute faithfulness the assumptions you carry deep within. If you desire to manifest millions, you must stop identifying as someone who wants money and begin identifying as someone who has it. Not in the future, not in a vague someday, but now. In this moment, in the unseen, where the real creation begins, the external only responds to what is first accepted internally. When you look at the world and say, I'll feel wealthy when I see more money, you delay the manifestation. That statement is rooted in waiting for effect before claiming cause. But the process is reversed. The world is secondary. The world does not decide. You do. Every thought you entertain, every emotion you linger in, every inner conversation you rehearse, they are seeds. And those seeds bear fruit in the form of your life. You cannot plant the seeds of lack, of doubt, of struggle, and expect abundance to bloom. It is not the world that must change. It is the gardener within. So what happens when you embody the version of yourself who already owns millions? You stop thinking like someone who lacks. You stop worrying, comparing, doubting. You don't chase, you don't beg, and you don't force. You walk, speak, and live as one who knows. And that knowing becomes a magnetic force, an unseen declaration that draws the visible toward you. Imagination is not idle. It is the most powerful tool you possess. If you close your eyes and enter a scene where you already have what you desire, if you feel it in your body, if you move in that inner world with confidence and gratitude, the outer world must bend. Not because you fought for it, but because you dared to believe that the unseen is more real than the seen. You are not manifesting from emptiness. You are not creating from effort. You are selecting from an infinite realm of possibilities, the reality that already exists. And you do this not through effort, but through alignment. Begin with the inner image, not a hope, not a wish, a claim. Make it yours. Make it natural. Dwell in the state of already having. And from that state, speak, walk, think, and rest. You don't need signs. You don't need proof. The proof is already forming because you are no longer the one seeking. You are the one remembering. You are not the effect. The world is. You are not the echo. You are the voice. Shift the inner and the outer must obey. When you understand this, you no longer fear time, delay, or contradiction. You rest in your knowing, and in that still, unshakable knowing, the wealth appears, not because you chased it, but because you became the one who always had it. The doorway to all that you desire is within you. You are not waiting for life to give you a sign, a call, or a breakthrough. You are being asked to assume the feeling of what you want now. Not tomorrow, not after you check your bank account. Now. Because the inner state is what creates the outer result. To feel wealthy is not to count money. It is to dwell in a mental and emotional atmosphere of abundance. It is to rise each morning with the awareness that you lack nothing, that you are supported, favored, and guided, that life is conspiring in your favor. You cannot think poor, feel small, and expect riches to pour into your experience. The feeling must come first, always. Imagination is the instrument. It is the womb of all reality. Whatever you accept in your imagination, whatever you enter into with feeling, must express itself in the world. Not because you are manipulating external events, but because you are tuning your consciousness to the vibration of already having. Close your eyes and go beyond the noise. See yourself in a scene that implies your wealth is real, not coming, not on its way, real. Ask nothing, doubt nothing, just be there. In your home, signing the papers, receiving the message, smiling with deep gratitude, breathe it in. Make it so vivid that your body believes it's happening now. Because the moment you do, the world begins to move. This is not daydreaming. This is creation. This is the act of selecting from the infinite possibilities available to you. And the only requirement is that you persist in the assumption that it is already done. You must walk like you have it, breathe like you have it, speak from that place. Let your posture, your tone, your choices all reflect a person who is no longer waiting. When you shift your identity, reality must follow, not out of magic, but law. Most people wait for confirmation. They wait to see before they feel. But this reverses the process. You do not wait for wealth to feel wealthy. You feel wealthy and wealth is drawn to you. The world is always responding to who you are being. When you assume the feeling of wealth, you release neediness. You no longer look for signs because your state is the sign. You no longer ask when because you live in the reality where it's already yours. This inner certainty is not arrogance, it is alignment. Persistence is key, not effort, not struggle, but the quiet, unwavering decision to remain in the state of the wish fulfilled, to return to that state again and again, to refuse to let outer circumstances shake your inner knowing. Everything begins in the unseen, the riches, the success, the transformation. All of it starts with a single choice: to feel it now. Let your imagination be more real than your senses. Let your feeling be your guide. And as you live in the unseen wealth of your inner world, the outer world will catch up, often in ways you never expected, and faster than you ever believed possible. Time is not the ruler, it is the shadow cast by your assumptions. Most people believe that results take time, but time is only the measure of how long you delay accepting what is already yours. The moment you fully accept something within, the seed is planted, and from that moment forward, the world rearranges itself to reflect that internal decision. Not because of effort, not because of strategy, but because you aligned with a version of yourself where it's already done. When $140 million 0 cents appeared in 7 days, it was not the days that created it. It was the second of surrender, of complete inner conviction that activated the outcome. 7 days were simply how long the physical world took to reflect the shift in consciousness. But the creation was instant. The decision was final, and reality followed the script written by belief. We've been conditioned to respect time as a force, as a boundary, but time is flexible, it bends to consciousness. If you believe money must take years to accumulate, your world will obey. If you believe wealth appears quickly, effortlessly in response to the right state, your experience will mirror that. Time is not an external truth, it is an internal agreement. Think about it. Every major change in your life began with a single thought, a decision, an internal turning point. The rest was just the unfolding. But the turning point, that happened outside of time, that happened in consciousness. When you drop the idea that your desires are far away, when you abandon the concept of waiting, and instead declare something to be real in your inner world, time begins to dissolve. Suddenly what seemed years away becomes days. What looked impossible becomes natural, not because the outside sped up, but because your belief collapsed the delay. This is why results can appear suddenly, because in truth, they were never far. They were simply waiting on your acceptance. The $140 million 0 cents wasn't created in a week. It was received in a moment and revealed in 7 days. If you still think something will happen someday, you are pushing it into a future that doesn't exist. The only power is now. The only portal is now, and the only moment where change can be made is now, not later, not when things align, but now, because your assumption, your feeling, your identity in this very second is what creates the blueprint. So ask yourself, are you waiting for your manifestation to happen, or are you embodying the version of yourself where it already has? When you shift the belief that time is a requirement and instead adopt the understanding that reality responds instantly to who you are being, the wait is over. The resistance vanishes. The bridge of events begins to unfold, not slowly, but with precision. What you used to chase begins to chase you. It never takes time to manifest. It only takes belief. Time is just the delay between your decision and your surrender. Once you collapse the doubt, the world has no choice but to catch up. Letting go of the how is not laziness. It is wisdom. It is a return to the truth that your mind is not here to force the way, but to feel the way. When you obsess over the method, you are announcing to yourself that it's not done. that you still believe something outside of you must be manipulated, changed, or convinced before you can have what you desire. But this is not how creation works. The how is none of your business. The state is. The world teaches you to plan, to strategize, to figure it all out. But this keeps you trapped in the very energy that prevents your manifestation. You become so tangled in steps that you lose the one thing that actually matters. Being the person who already has it. Not doing what that person would do, being them. Living from their knowing, their peace, their confidence. Everything else follows that. When you let go of the how, you surrender control, not in weakness, but in power. You stop trying to micromanage what infinite intelligence can handle far better than your logical mind. The method is not your concern. You are not the architect of the bridge. You are the occupant of the house that already exists in the unseen. Your only task is to dwell in it, to feel it, to see it as done. If you had what you wanted, you wouldn't be asking, how will it come? You would be busy living in the end result. So do that now. Speak as the one who already has it. Move as if it's already yours. Not to fool the world, but to anchor yourself in the only reality that matters, the one you choose within. When you chase the how, you delay the outcome. You shift your energy from belief to doubt. You begin to seek signs and logic to confirm what your heart already knows. And in doing so, you place conditions on the manifestation. I must see this happen before I can believe. But the truth is, belief comes first. Evidence follows. There are infinite ways for what you desire to reach you. If you try to decide the path, you block the others. If you insist it must happen this way, at this time, through this person, you limit the vast intelligence that could deliver it in ways beyond your comprehension. But when you release the how, you invite the extraordinary. You open the door to miracles, not because they're rare, but because they need room to arrive. Focus on done. That is your job. That is your responsibility. Feel the reality as complete, not becoming, not in process. Complete. It is finished in the unseen, and you now live from that inner conclusion. Let others worry about effort, planning, and hustle. You are not operating from cause and effect. You are operating from cause only. You decide what is true within, and the outer world aligns, not out of obligation, but out of law. So every time the mind says, but how will this happen? Respond not with answers, but with calm knowing. It is already done. And from that place, watch how life responds. Not with resistance, but with divine flow. To live from the end is to dwell in the certainty of your desire already fulfilled. It is not to hope, not to wish, not to plead, but to remember. Not as fantasy, but as a fact in the unseen. Speak, think, and move as one who is recalling the moment it all happened, not anticipating it. When you live from the end, you take your imagination seriously. You no longer entertain thoughts of if or when. You walk in the state of it is done. This is not pretending, it is accepting. It is choosing to stand firmly in the consciousness of fulfillment, regardless of what the senses report. The world may show lack. The numbers may say otherwise. But the inner world is where creation begins, and when you abide in the end result, the outer must reflect that image. It cannot resist. It is not a matter of probability, it is law. Gratitude becomes your natural language. Not gratitude as a technique to attract things, but gratitude as proof that you already have them. You are no longer asking, you are giving thanks, you are not seeking signs, you are resting in the knowing that you have already crossed the finish line. That changes your posture, that changes your tone, that changes your reality. The one who lives from the end does not panic. They do not measure progress. They do not worry about how long it will take. They are grounded in the unseen truth that this is already mine. Time is irrelevant. Delay is impossible. The outcome is sealed. Living from the end means remembering your manifestation like a past event. You go back to that scene in your mind, not as something to come, but as something that has come. You replay the conversation where someone congratulated you. You feel the texture of the moment, the environment, the emotional charge. And every time you return to that memory, you impress the subconscious with the truth you choose to embody. It does not matter how many times doubt whispers. It does not matter what appears to contradict your vision. You do not engage. You do not argue. You return to the state. You remember who you are. You remember what has already occurred. This is where true power lives, in assumption, in conviction, in the unwavering decision to remain in the atmosphere of the fulfilled. You are not trying to manifest. You are aligning with what is already yours in the deeper dimension of reality. From that state, actions may come, opportunities may appear, but you are no longer reacting, you are responding from alignment. You are choosing with the calm confidence of someone who has already arrived. So, speak differently, walk differently, think differently, not as a technique, but as a reflection of your inner world. That is what draws the unseen into form, not force, but identity. Gratitude flows when you stop asking and start receiving. And when you live from the end, every moment becomes a confirmation, not a question. You are no longer on your way, you are already there. The world does not respond to effort alone. It does not bow to force, nor does it reward the one who hustles the most. It moves in accordance with faith, the deep, invisible knowing that something is already so, even when there is no physical evidence. Faith is the seed from which all visible things grow. It is the silent power behind every true manifestation. You can push, strive, and exhaust yourself trying to make something happen. But if your inner state is still filled with doubt, worry, or disbelief, your efforts will fall flat or deliver fleeting results. This is because outer action without inner conviction is empty. But one moment of true belief, pure, undisturbed faith, can accomplish more than years of forced action. Faith is not hoping, it is not wishing, it is not wanting. Faith is knowing. It is walking forward even when the path is not visible, trusting that the ground will appear beneath your feet. Faith does not require proof because it is the proof. It is the cause that makes the effect inevitable. You were never meant to grind your way into abundance. Wealth is not earned by stress, it is received by alignment. It is drawn to the one who believes they are worthy of it, who sees it as natural, who feels it already present in the unseen. This is why some people seem to attract success effortlessly. It is not that they are lucky, it is that their belief system allows it. They are not working harder, they are working from a different level of consciousness. They do not carry resistance. They do not question whether they deserve it. They live in the atmosphere of wealth, and the world responds to that inner atmosphere. The truth is, belief always precedes form. What you hold as true on the inside shapes what you experience on the outside. The subconscious mind does not argue, does not analyze, it accepts. And once a belief is accepted, reality bends to it without hesitation. The circumstances, the people, the opportunities, they begin to move in response to the unseen signal you are sending. Faith is that signal. When you embody wealth in your imagination, when you speak from the place of having rather than needing, when you relax into the conviction that it is already done, the outer world has no choice but to follow. It may not happen instantly, but it will happen inevitably. Not because you forced it, but because your belief made it real. There is no need to beg, there is no need to chase. Your inner world is the source. The outside is only the screen onto which your inner assumptions are projected. So release the struggle, lay down the burden of how. Let go of the idea that more effort equals more results. Instead, cultivate faith. Nurture it in silence. Strengthen it with imagination. Return to it when the world tempts you to panic. Because the world does not respond to effort, it responds to energy. And the strongest energy you can carry is the quiet, unwavering belief that what you desire is already yours. That belief becomes form. That faith becomes fortune. You are not here to chase outcomes. You are here to awaken to who you truly are. The cause, the creator, the one who already holds the power. The $140 million, 0 cents was never about the money. It was about your alignment, your decision to stop seeking and start assuming. You accepted the end as real, and the world simply echoed your belief. It was not the steps, not the hustle, not time. It was the inner shift that moved everything. You didn't wait, you became. You didn't force, you knew. And in knowing, you allowed the unseen to take form. Live as if it's done, speak from fulfillment, walk in certainty. The world bends not to desperation, but to unwavering inner truth. All things are drawn to the one who no longer doubts. You have nothing to prove, nothing to chase, just a state to enter, a reality to remember, and a truth to dwell in. It is already yours. Sincere thanks to the audience. Thank you for being here, for listening not just with your ears but with your heart. May you carry this knowing wherever you go, that you are the creator, not the seeker. The power is within you, always has been and always will be. Now go, not to wait, but to live from the end. It's already done. Close your eyes for a moment and ask yourself, if I were already a billionaire, how would I feel? How would I move through the world? What thoughts would occupy my mind? You see, wealth is not a number in a bank account. It is a state of being. The mistake most people make is that they believe they must first acquire riches before they can feel secure, powerful, and free. But the truth is, you must first become the thing you desire within. Only then will the world shape itself around your assumption. Right now, in this very moment, step into the consciousness of a billionaire. Let go of every thought of limitation. Breathe in the feeling of absolute financial freedom. A billionaire does not worry about bills. A billionaire does not chase opportunities. They create them. They walk with an effortless confidence, knowing the world bends to their will. They do not ask, can I afford this? They decide, is this aligned with my vision? Your current circumstances are irrelevant. Wealth is not about effort. It is about identity. If you assume yourself to be wealthy, the world will reflect it back to you in ways you cannot predict. So act as if. Carry yourself with the quiet assurance of one who already possesses immense wealth. Speak as one who commands abundance. Feel the security, the freedom, the joy of having more than enough. Let this feeling consume you and watch as reality conforms to your inner world. Do not wait. You are already it. Wealth is not something external that you must chase, nor is it something that only a few are destined to have. It is, first and foremost, a state of consciousness. The greatest mistake people make is believing that money is the cause of wealth, when, in truth, it is only the effect. The true source of wealth lies in the mind of the individual, in the assumptions they hold about themselves and the world. The external world merely reflects the internal state. If you believe you are lacking, if you constantly affirm that money is hard to come by, then your reality must align with that belief. But if you shift your consciousness to one of abundance, knowing that wealth is already yours, then the outer world will have no choice but to conform to that inner knowing. You must ask yourself, what does it truly mean to be wealthy? Is it the mere possession of money? Or is it the feeling of security, freedom, and limitless opportunity? The one who is wealthy in consciousness walks with a different energy. They move with assurance, knowing that all their needs are met. They do not dwell on fears of financial loss or scarcity because their sense of abundance does not come from a bank account, but from their unwavering belief in their own prosperity. Look at the way the wealthy think. They do not operate from a place of desperation. They do not see wealth as something to be obtained, but as something they already embody. A billionaire does not wake up in the morning doubting whether they have money. They know it is theirs. Even before they had tangible riches, they carried the consciousness of abundance within them. This is the key. You must first become internally rich before you can ever experience it externally. Most people live in a state of waiting. They say, when I have money, then I will feel successful. When I am rich, then I will act confidently. But this is the very thinking that keeps wealth out of reach. You must reverse this order. Act as if you already possess all the riches you desire. Speak, think, and move through life as one who is already abundant. Feel the security, the confidence, the peace that comes with knowing you are financially free. This feeling is the seed that, when nurtured, blossoms into actual wealth. Do not let your senses deceive you. The world may present temporary evidence of lack, but this is only a reflection of past thinking. If you continue to focus on what appears to be missing, you only reinforce its existence in your life. Instead, shift your attention inward. Dwell in the feeling of already having what you desire. Live in the state of abundance before any physical proof arrives. The moment you accept wealth as your reality within, the world outside must conform. Consider those who have achieved massive wealth. It was never just about their actions. It was their mindset. They saw themselves as creators of wealth, not victims of circumstance. They believed in their ability to generate prosperity, and so it became their reality. Even when faced with failure or temporary setbacks, they remained steadfast in their belief in abundance. This is the difference between those who attain great riches and those who remain in struggle, the assumption they hold about themselves. If you wish to see wealth in your life, begin by cultivating it in your consciousness. Speak only thoughts of prosperity. Align your emotions with the reality you desire. Do not wish for wealth, assume it. Do not seek abundance, embody it. When you fully accept that you are already rich in mind, the outer world will rearrange itself to match that truth. The money, the opportunities, the success, they will all flow naturally to the one who knows beyond any doubt that they are already wealthy. The world around you is nothing more than a reflection of your internal state. Every condition, every experience, every so-called limitation is merely the outpicturing of the assumptions you hold within. If you look upon the world and see lack, it is not because lack truly exists. It is because your mind has been conditioned to perceive it. The mistake most people make is believing that what they see with their eyes is the ultimate reality. They accept their present circumstances as fixed and unchangeable, never realizing that they are the ones creating and sustaining these conditions through their assumptions. Lack is an illusion. It has no power except the power you give it through your belief. If you assume that money is scarce, that opportunities are limited, that success is difficult to attain, then life will continuously present you with evidence to confirm those assumptions. But if you refuse to accept the appearance of lack and instead persist in the assumption of abundance, your outer world must eventually reflect that new state. You must train yourself to see beyond appearances. The evidence of scarcity that you observe is nothing more than the echo of past thoughts and beliefs. It is not a permanent reality. It is simply a manifestation of old conditioning. If you continue to accept it as true, you only reinforce it. But the moment you withdraw your belief in it, the moment you decide that abundance is your reality, the illusion of lack must begin to dissolve. Think of it this way. When you look in a mirror, you see a reflection of yourself. If you frown, the image frowns back. If you smile, the image smiles. The mirror does not create your expression, it only reflects it. In the same way, the world does not create your state of being, it only mirrors what you assume to be true. If you walk around believing that life is hard, that money is difficult to come by, that success is reserved for others, then the world must reflect those beliefs back to you. But if you adopt the assumption that abundance flows to you effortlessly, that opportunities are always unfolding in your favor, that wealth is already yours, then your external world will begin to mirror those truths instead. Most people live as if they are powerless. They see their circumstances as something happening to them rather than something flowing from them. They react to what they see rather than shaping what they see through their inner world. But you are not a victim of circumstances, you are the creator of them. The moment you accept this truth, you take back your power. You must develop a kind of inner blindness to appearances that do not serve you. If your bank account shows a low balance, do not dwell on it. If opportunities seem scarce, do not accept it as your reality. Instead, fix your mind on the abundance that is already yours in the unseen. Assume that wealth is on its way to you, that doors are opening, that all your needs are already met. Hold to this assumption with unwavering faith, regardless of what the outer world appears to show. The world will test you. It will present obstacles, delays, and situations that seem to contradict your new assumption. This is where most people falter. They see the temporary evidence of lack and allow doubt to creep in. But those who persist in their assumption of abundance, even in the face of seeming scarcity, are the ones who see their reality transform. What you assume to be real will harden into fact. The only question is, what are you assuming? Ignore the illusion of lack. Do not give it power by accepting it as true. See yourself as already abundant, already successful, already in possession of all that you desire. The moment you do, the world will have no choice but to reflect that truth back to you. Reality does not respond to begging, pleading, or wishing. It responds to command. The person who truly understands their creative power does not ask the universe for permission to be wealthy, successful, or fulfilled. They decide. They assume the state of already having what they desire, and they act in alignment with that certainty. This is the difference between those who struggle and those who thrive. One waits for circumstances to change, while the other directs reality itself. A billionaire does not sit around hoping that opportunities will come, or that success will somehow find them. They move with confidence as though the outcome is already assured. They do not doubt, nor do they entertain thoughts of failure. Their mindset is one of certainty, not desperation. They understand that the external world is merely a reflection of their internal assumptions, so they do not allow fear or uncertainty to take root. Instead, they assume that everything they desire is already theirs and they act accordingly. Most people live their lives in a state of waiting. They wait for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right sign before they take action. They tell themselves, if only I had more money, more connections, more experience, then I could be successful. But in doing so, they delay their own success indefinitely. The truth is, you do not need anything external to change before you step into the reality you desire. You need only shift your assumption. The moment you decide that you are already successful, already wealthy, already living the life you desire, everything around you begins to rearrange itself to match that assumption. Look at the way the powerful move through the world. They do not ask for permission. They do not seek validation, they command. They walk into a room with an energy that says, I belong here. They do not shrink, hesitate, or question whether they are worthy. They assume their success and the world responds accordingly. This is not arrogance. It is simply an unshakable belief in their own power. And this same power exists within you. If you wish to experience wealth, you must stop acting like someone who lacks it. You must stop thinking, speaking, and behaving as if you are at the mercy of circumstances. The moment you declare with full conviction that you are already the person you wish to be, you set in motion a series of events that must bring your assumption into reality. The key is to hold firm to this assumption regardless of what your senses tell you. The world may present temporary evidence that contradicts your new belief, but this is only a reflection of your past assumption. Do not waver, do not fall back into the habit of doubting yourself. If a billionaire loses money, they do not suddenly believe they are poor. They know that wealth is their natural state, and so they easily create it again. They do not panic because their assumption of abundance remains unchanged. This is the level of certainty you must develop. Do not beg for success, do not wish for wealth, do not hope for better circumstances. Decide. Step into the feeling of already having what you desire. Walk, speak, and think as though your success is inevitable. When you do this, the universe must align with your assumption. Reality is not something you passively experience, it is something you command. And the moment you fully embrace this truth, everything you desire will begin to move toward you. If you were already a billionaire, how would you move through the world? Would you hesitate? Would you doubt yourself? Would you shrink in the presence of opportunity? Of course not. You would move with certainty, knowing that success is your natural state. You would not question whether you are deserving. You would assume it as a fact. The way you think, speak, and act would reflect the abundance you already possess. And that is exactly the mindset you must embody now. Most people make the mistake of waiting for external proof before they allow themselves to feel wealthy, confident, or successful. They tell themselves, once I have the money, I'll feel abundant. Once I have the success, I'll feel worthy. But this is entirely backward. You must first assume the state internally, and only then will it manifest externally. Reality is not something you chase, it is something you align with. A billionaire does not move through life in fear of losing what they have. They do not cling to money as if it might disappear. They operate from a place of security and ease, knowing that wealth flows effortlessly to them. They do not doubt whether they can afford something, they assume they can. They do not question whether they deserve luxury, success, or influence. They live as though it is already theirs. Their every action, every word, every thought reinforces the reality they believe in. Now ask yourself, if you were already in possession of everything you desire, how would you behave? Would you carry yourself with confidence? Would you speak with authority? Would you engage with others as an equal rather than feeling inferior? Would you walk into a room knowing that you belong? The answer is obvious. You would move differently, you would think differently, you would embody a different state of being. And if that is how you would act once you have achieved your desires, why wait? Step into that version of yourself now. Your current reality is simply a reflection of past assumptions. If you continue to carry yourself as someone who lacks wealth, success, or opportunity, then life will mirror those beliefs back to you. But the moment you shift your internal state and embody the mindset of one who already has it, the world must adjust accordingly. What you assume to be true eventually solidifies into fact. This is not wishful thinking, it is the law of consciousness. Think of a billionaire's daily habits. They do not waste time dwelling on problems, they focus on solutions. They do not complain about circumstances, they take control of them. They do not operate from a mindset of need, they operate from a mindset of abundance. They are not waiting for permission to succeed, they have already decided that success is theirs. And because they have assumed that state, everything in their reality conforms to it. This is the level of certainty you must develop. You must move through life as though you already have what you desire, not with arrogance, but with quiet, unshakable confidence. When you speak, let your words reflect your belief in your own success. When you make decisions, let them come from a place of certainty, not hesitation. When you interact with others, do so from a position of strength, not need. The moment you start embodying the mindset of one who already has it, you shift into alignment with that reality. Opportunities will arise, doors will open, and people will begin to treat you differently. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. The world can only reflect what you assume to be true. Move now as the person you wish to become, and soon you will no longer be acting, it will be your reality. Gratitude and confidence are the twin forces that unlock the doors of wealth. Most people believe that they must first receive something before they can be grateful for it, but this is not the case. True wealth begins with the unseen before it takes form in the material world. It must first exist in the consciousness of the one who desires it. To receive wealth, you must feel grateful for it before it appears, as if it is already yours. This is the secret that transforms desire into reality. Gratitude is not merely a polite expression of thanks. It is a powerful state of being. It signals to the universe that you have already received what you seek. When you are grateful, you are affirming that what you desire already exists. Even if it is not yet visible to your physical eyes, the world responds to this certainty. Just as a radio must be tuned to the correct frequency to receive a signal, your consciousness must be tuned to the frequency of abundance before wealth can flow into your life. Gratitude is the signal that tells the universe you are ready to receive. Most people operate from a state of lack. They say, I will be grateful once I have more money, once I have success, once I have the life I desire. But this is a flawed approach. To truly unlock wealth, you must reverse this pattern. You must feel gratitude first before any external evidence appears. You must trust in the unseen, knowing that what you desire is already moving toward you. Confidence is the second key. To manifest wealth, you must not only be grateful for the unseen, but you must also have unshakable confidence that it will appear. Confidence is the unwavering belief that what you desire is already yours. It is the refusal to entertain doubt, no matter what your current circumstances may suggest. The person who commands wealth does not hope or wish. They know. They walk through life with an assurance that their desires are already fulfilled. Consider how a billionaire approaches money. They do not wonder if they will have enough. They do not stress over whether opportunities will come. They move with certainty because they have already assumed abundance as their natural state, and because they embody that state, the world reflects it back to them. You must do the same. Even if your external reality does not yet show signs of wealth, you must remain confident that it is unfolding in ways you cannot yet see. Many people sabotage their own success by constantly questioning whether their desires will ever materialize. They allow fear and doubt to creep in, and as a result, they push their desires further away. But when you hold firm in gratitude and confidence, you accelerate the process. You send a clear signal to the universe. I already have it. I am certain of it. I am grateful for it, and the universe responds in kind. To develop this mindset, begin by shifting your focus. Instead of dwelling on what you lack, train yourself to feel gratitude for what is already on its way. Speak as if it is already done. Walk as if you are already in possession of the life you desire. Do not wait for wealth to appear before you feel grateful. Feel grateful now and wealth will follow. Do not wait for success to come before you feel confident. Embody confidence now and success will find you. Gratitude and confidence are the forces that open every door. They transform the unseen into the seen. They align you with the reality you wish to experience. The moment you adopt this mindset, the world must shift to reflect it. Wealth is not something you chase, it is something you allow. And the way to allow it is through gratitude and unwavering confidence in the unseen. Most people spend their lives fixated on how their desires will manifest. They constantly analyze, strategize, and attempt to control every step of the journey. But this obsession with the how is precisely what keeps them stuck. They believe that if they cannot see the path clearly, then their desire must be far away. But this is an illusion. The path is irrelevant. The when, where, and how do not matter. What matters is your assumption that it is already yours. Wealth is not something you must struggle to obtain. It is something you align with. The moment you assume the feeling of already having it, the way to it is set in motion. You do not need to force it, chase it, or overanalyze it. You simply need to trust in the now, knowing that it is already done. When you truly accept this, you free yourself from worry. You no longer look at your current circumstances and judge them as obstacles. Instead, you understand that everything is unfolding perfectly, even if you cannot yet see the full picture. Consider how nature operates. A seed does not worry about how it will grow into a towering tree. It simply is. It exists in perfect trust that the sun, the rain, and the soil will support its growth. It does not need to understand the details. It simply follows its nature. Your wealth, your success, your desires, they already exist in potential. The only thing required of you is to embody the state of already having them. Many people make the mistake of trying to control the process. They believe they must take specific actions, meet certain people, or be in the right place at the right time. But this kind of thinking comes from doubt. It suggests that they do not fully trust that what they desire is already there. If you truly believed it was already done, would you worry about how it will come? Would you stress over whether it will happen? Of course not. You would simply rest in the certainty that it is unfolding in the perfect way. This is why detachment is essential. Detachment does not mean giving up on your desire. It means releasing the need to control the journey. It means no longer obsessing over when or how it will arrive. It means understanding that once you assume the feeling of already having it, the universe will arrange everything for you. Unexpected opportunities will arise. The right people will be drawn to you. Doors will open effortlessly. But this only happens when you release the need to force it. The person who is truly wealthy in mind does not chase money. They do not spend their days anxiously trying to predict where their next opportunity will come from. They assume wealth, and so it flows to them. They trust in the unseen, and so the unseen takes form. They do not concern themselves with the details because they know that all details are taken care of the moment they shift their consciousness. You must adopt this same mindset. Act as though the wealth you seek is already yours. Speak as though it is done. Move through your day with the confidence of one who already possesses it. And most importantly, release the need to figure out how it will happen. Let life surprise you. Let it unfold in ways beyond what your logical mind can conceive. When you detach from the how and trust in the now, you shift into a state of ease. You no longer struggle because you no longer resist. You no longer seek validation from the outside world because you have already claimed your abundance within. And because you have assumed it internally, it must manifest externally. Wealth is not about chasing, forcing, or analyzing. It is about knowing. It is about trusting. It is about living as though it is already yours, because it is. The moment you accept this, the way will unfold effortlessly before you. Wealth is not something you chase. It is something you embody. It is not found in effort, struggle, or endless planning, but in the deep assumption that it is already yours. The billionaire mindset is not about money. It is about state of being. When you ignore the illusion of lack, command reality rather than beg for it. Move as one who already has it and embrace gratitude with unwavering confidence. You unlock the doors of abundance. Detach from the how and trust in the now. Your wealth is not a distant dream. It exists here and now, waiting for you to claim it. The moment you fully assume this state, life will shift to reflect it. You do not need to force or chase. You simply need to become. And as you do, the world will yield to your inner certainty. Thank you. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe in. Now tell yourself, I am already blessed with everything I desire. Say it, but more importantly, feel it. There is a great illusion in this world, one that keeps people trapped in a cycle of lack and limitation. It is the belief that you must first see something before you can believe it. But the truth is, what you believe, what you accept as real within your own mind, is what will shape your reality. You have been conditioned to wait for external proof, to let the world dictate what is possible for you. But what if I told you that everything you seek is already yours, if only you would dare to claim it? Walk through life as if you already possess the wealth, the love, the peace, and the joy you desire. Do not beg for blessings, do not chase them. Stand firm in the knowing that you are already divinely favored. Speak. Think and act in alignment with the reality you wish to experience. If you want abundance, act as if wealth flows effortlessly to you. If you want love, act as if you are already cherished beyond measure. If you desire health, carry yourself as one who is vibrant and whole. The world around you is only a reflection of the state within you. The moment you accept this truth, life will shift. The walls of limitation will crumble. Opportunities will appear where none seemed to exist before. People will treat you differently, for the energy you carry will command respect and admiration. But understand this: it is not a trick, it is not mere pretense, it is the law of creation itself. The moment you act as if you are already blessed, you become blessed. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. Your assumption, your unwavering belief is the seed. Nurture it with unwavering faith, and it will grow into the life you have always dreamed of. Will you continue to live by the illusion of lack, or will you step into the power that has always been yours? Act as if you are blessed with everything, and watch as the universe bends to reflect that truth. What you assume to be true, whether consciously or unconsciously, shapes the world you experience. This is not a theory, but a fundamental law of creation. Every event, every encounter, every opportunity or obstacle in your life is a direct reflection of your inner state. It is not the world that dictates your reality, but rather the assumptions you hold within yourself. Consider for a moment the life you desire. Perhaps it is a life of abundance, joy, love, and peace. The natural instinct is to look outside yourself, to seek validation from the world that these things are coming to you. But this is where most people go wrong. They wait for the world to change before they allow themselves to believe. They say, I will feel blessed once I have the money, once I find love, once my circumstances improve. They believe the outer world must shift first, and then they will adjust their beliefs accordingly. But this is not how reality works. The truth is, what you assume to be real within yourself will be what you experience outside of yourself. Your life is simply an echo of your most deeply held beliefs. If you assume that blessings are scarce, that you must struggle and fight for what you want, then life will mirror that back to you. You will find obstacles at every turn, and even when success comes, it will feel fleeting, uncertain, and difficult to maintain. But if you assume that you are already blessed, that everything you need is already yours, life will respond in kind. You will begin to see opportunities where you once saw barriers. People will treat you differently. Favor will seem to follow you, and circumstances will shift in ways that seem almost magical. But this is not magic. It is simply the law in action. Think about how the mind works. If you walk into a room assuming that no one likes you, your posture changes, your energy shifts, and your words carry uncertainty. And because of that, people respond to you with distance or indifference, reinforcing the very belief you walked in with. But if you enter that same room assuming that you are welcomed, valued, and appreciated, your entire presence changes. You carry yourself with confidence, you engage with ease, and others are drawn to you. It is not that the people changed, it is that you changed, and the world simply reflected it back. This is why assumption is so powerful. It is the silent force that determines what you experience. If you want a better life, you must assume a better reality now, not later, not when things improve. Now, you must carry yourself as though the blessings you desire are already yours. Speak as if you are already abundant. Walk as if you are already in possession of everything you have asked for. This may feel strange. The mind, conditioned by years of doubt and external validation, will resist. It will tell you that you are lying to yourself, that you are being unrealistic. But understand this: the only thing unrealistic is believing that you can continue thinking the same way and somehow receive a different outcome. You must be bold enough to assume the best for yourself, even when your senses tell you otherwise. If you truly believed you were already blessed, how would you think? How would you speak? How would you move through the world? Would you worry? Would you doubt? Would you hesitate? No, you would walk in faith, with certainty, with gratitude. And when you do, the world will begin to arrange itself to match your inner conviction. This is the secret that many never realize. They spend their lives reacting to circumstances rather than creating them. They allow their assumptions to be shaped by the external world instead of shaping the external world with their assumptions. But you do not have to live this way. You can take control of your reality. You can choose right now to assume that you are already blessed. And the moment you do, you set into motion the forces that will make it so. There is no power outside of you greater than the power within you. What you assume, you become. What you assume, you receive. Assume the best, assume abundance, assume favor, and watch as your world transforms before your eyes. Words alone hold no power unless they are infused with feeling. It is not enough to say, "I am blessed." If those words carry no weight within you, you must feel it deeply, as though it is already your reality. The emotions you cultivate within yourself determine the frequency you emit, and that frequency is what draws experiences to you. Consider the nature of feeling. When you experience genuine joy, does the world not seem brighter? When you are in love, does the simplest moment not feel extraordinary? These emotions do not come from the outside. They arise from within, shaping your perception of reality. The same is true for every aspect of life. If you desire abundance, you must feel abundant now, not later. If you seek love, you must embody the feeling of being loved before it appears externally. You do not wait for the world to confirm your blessings. You confirm them within yourself first, and the world will follow. The challenge for most people is that they rely too heavily on their senses. They look around and see lack, so they feel lack. They see loneliness, so they feel unloved. But this approach is backward. Your senses only reflect what you have previously accepted as true. If you want to change your experience, you must first change your feeling. You must abandon the need for external validation and cultivate the inner emotional state that matches the life you desire. This is not a matter of mere positive thinking. It is not about forcing yourself to feel something you do not truly believe. Rather, it is about sinking so deeply into the assumption of your desired reality that it becomes natural. It is about closing your eyes and imagining in vivid detail what it would feel like if everything you wanted was already yours. How would you carry yourself? How would you speak? What emotions would rise within you? The more you immerse yourself in these feelings, the more they become real to you. There is a reason why those who dwell in fear and anxiety often find themselves trapped in cycles of struggle. Their dominant emotions create a field of energy that attracts more of the same. They feel unworthy, and so they experience rejection. They feel lack, and so they struggle to attain abundance. But the moment you shift your inner state, when you allow yourself to truly feel blessed, you change the entire trajectory of your life. Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to shift your feeling. When you give thanks, not just for what you already see, but for what you know is on its way, you align yourself with abundance. Gratitude is not a passive act. It is an energetic declaration that you have already received. It is an acknowledgement of the unseen reality that is waiting to unfold. When you feel grateful in advance, you create a powerful current that draws your blessings to you. Doubt has no place in this process. If you allow yourself to feel uncertainty, if you question whether or not your desire will come to pass, you disrupt the energy you are sending out. You must remain unwavering, holding firm to the feeling of already having what you seek. This does not mean forcing yourself to be happy all the time, but rather maintaining a deep, quiet confidence that your blessings are inevitable. Your emotions are the language of creation. The universe does not respond to empty words. It responds to the energy behind them. If you truly wish to transform your life, do not merely affirm it. Feel it. Feel the excitement of success before it arrives. Feel the love of a soulmate before they appear. Feel the security of wealth before it manifests. The more real these emotions become to you, the sooner your external world will reflect them. Everything begins within. Your emotions set the course for your life. Choose them wisely. Choose to feel blessed now, and the blessings will come. Do not wait for external proof before believing. The moment you place your faith in circumstances, you surrender your power. If you look at your current reality and say, "I will believe when I see the evidence," you are allowing the world to dictate what is possible for you. But the truth is, the world only reflects what you assume to be true. If you wish to transform your life, you must first transform your inner world. You must learn to live in the end, acting, thinking, and feeling as though your desires have already been fulfilled. Living in the end is not about pretending or playing make-believe. It is about aligning yourself with a state of being that matches the reality you wish to experience. When you hold a desire in your heart, that desire is not something separate from you. It is not something you must struggle to attain. It already exists in the infinite possibilities of creation. The only reason you do not yet see it in your world is that you have not fully assumed it as your present reality. Imagine for a moment that your desire is already fulfilled. What would your life look like? How would you think? How would you carry yourself? Would you still worry? Would you still doubt? Or would you walk with confidence, knowing that what you once longed for is now yours? This is the key. You must embody that state now. The moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you align yourself with the reality where it already exists. And when you maintain that state, your external world has no choice but to shift accordingly. The greatest mistake people make is waiting. They wait for their circumstances to change before they allow themselves to believe. They wait for money to appear before they feel abundant. They wait for love to arrive before they feel loved. But this approach only reinforces the lack they are trying to escape. If you wait for the world to prove something to you before you believe it, you will wait forever. You must first believe, and then the world will follow. Think of it this way. When an actor prepares for a role, they do not wait for the world to acknowledge them as the character before they embody it. They step into the role completely, adjusting their mannerisms, speech, and thoughts until they become the character. In the same way, you must step into the role of the person who already has what they desire. You must think, speak, and act as if it is already yours. This does not mean forcing yourself to be something you are not. It means realizing that everything you seek is already within you. Doubt is the only thing that delays manifestation. The moment you question whether or not your desire will come, you introduce resistance. You separate yourself from the reality where it is already yours. But when you hold firm to your assumption, when you persist in the belief that your blessing is already a fact, you dissolve the barriers that stand between you and its realization. Faith is not about hoping something will happen. It is about knowing that it already has happened in the unseen realm. It is about standing in certainty, regardless of what your senses tell you. If you truly believed your dream was already a reality, how would you behave? You would not stress, you would not beg, you would not chase, you would simply be. You would carry yourself with assurance, knowing that all is unfolding exactly as it should. This is the power of living in the end. When you assume the feeling of already having what you desire, you accelerate its arrival. You remove the obstacles of doubt and fear, allowing your reality to shift effortlessly. The world is not separate from you. It is a mirror of your inner state. The sooner you align yourself with your desired outcome, the sooner it will materialize. So do not wait, do not hesitate. Step into your new reality now, live in the end, and watch as the world reshapes itself to match your assumption. What you see in your life today is not a fixed reality. It is simply a reflection of past thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. The circumstances around you are not set in stone. They are fluid, always shifting in response to the inner world you cultivate. If you allow yourself to be deceived by what appears in front of you, you will remain trapped in a cycle of limitation. You must learn to ignore the present circumstances if they do not align with your desires. Do not let temporary appearances dictate what is possible for you. Instead, trust in the unseen power within you, knowing that your present reality is nothing more than a delayed echo of your previous state of mind. Most people fall into the trap of believing that what they see is all there is. They look at their financial struggles and assume they are destined for lack. They experience rejection and assume they are unworthy of love. But these external experiences are not ultimate truths. They are simply the manifestation of thoughts that have been consistently entertained in the past. If you accept them as permanent, you continue to feed the same cycle. However, if you recognize them for what they are, temporary reflections, you gain the power to create something new. The key to transformation is detachment from what appears to be real. This does not mean denying your current situation or pretending it does not exist. It means refusing to let it dictate what you believe about your future. If you desire wealth but your bank account shows otherwise, do not let that number define you. If you seek love but you are currently alone, do not let loneliness convince you that love is out of reach. The present moment is not a life sentence. It is merely a snapshot of where your consciousness has been. Change your consciousness and your reality must follow. To do this, you must cultivate a vision of what you truly desire and hold on to it regardless of what the physical world suggests. When doubts arise, remind yourself that what you see now is only a result of past thinking. It has no bearing on the future unless you allow it to. This is why those who persist in their assumptions, despite all evidence to the contrary, are the ones who ultimately succeed. They do not waver when things seem impossible. They know that the unseen world is more real than what appears in front of them. Imagine a seed planted in the soil. In the beginning, there is no visible sign of growth. If someone judged the seed's progress based only on what they could see, they might assume nothing was happening. But beneath the surface, the seed is taking root, preparing to emerge. The same is true for your desires. Just because you do not see them yet does not mean they are not unfolding. If you dig up the seed every day to check if it has grown, you only delay the process. You must trust that it is growing, even when there is no visible proof. This is where faith comes in. Not blind faith, but the unwavering conviction that what you have imagined is already on its way. Your job is not to question how or when it will appear. Your job is to remain steadfast in the assumption that it is already done. If you can do this, if you can resist the temptation to let the present moment shake your belief, you will witness your desires materializing before your eyes. Your power lies in your ability to ignore present limitations. No matter how things appear, remind yourself that you are not bound by them. You are the creator of your reality, and what you focus on will inevitably become your experience. Choose to see beyond the temporary. Choose to trust in the unseen. And most importantly, choose to believe in the power within you, knowing that what you seek is already yours. Gratitude is more than just a polite expression. It is a powerful force that shapes reality. When you give thanks in advance for what is unseen, you align yourself with the state of already having it. This alignment is what brings your desires into tangible form. Most people wait for their blessings to appear before they feel grateful, but that is not how creation works. If you truly understand the nature of your power, you will realize that gratitude is not a response to what has already happened. It is the very thing that causes it to happen. To give thanks before seeing evidence of your desire is to declare that you already possess it. This act of gratitude confirms your belief that your wish is fulfilled, and belief is the key that unlocks all manifestations. When you feel grateful for something, you are affirming its existence in your life, even if it has not yet appeared in the physical world. You are telling your subconscious mind that it is real. And since your subconscious mind governs the unfolding of your reality, it will bring forth the conditions necessary to match that assumption. Gratitude shifts your focus away from lack and into abundance. When you desire something but feel anxious, desperate, or doubtful, you are affirming that it is missing from your life. The more you dwell on its absence, the more you reinforce that state. But when you express gratitude as if it is already yours, you move out of lack and into the reality where it exists. The world can only reflect what you persistently assume to be true, and gratitude is the strongest affirmation that something already belongs to you. Imagine you have placed an order at a restaurant. You do not anxiously question whether the meal will arrive, you simply trust that it is being prepared. You may even thank the waiter before the food is on your table because you know it is coming. This is the same confidence you must have in your desires. You do not need to plead or beg the universe for what is already yours. Instead, express gratitude as if you are receiving it now and trust that it is on its way. The most effective way to practice this is to immerse yourself in the feeling of already having what you seek. If you desire financial prosperity, do not dwell on what is missing. Instead, feel grateful for the abundance that is already making its way to you. If you seek love, do not focus on loneliness. Instead, give thanks for the deep and fulfilling connection that is already yours in the unseen realm. The more real this gratitude feels, the faster your reality will shift to match it. Many people struggle with this concept because they allow their senses to dictate their beliefs. They look around and say, "I do not see it, so it must not exist." But manifestation does not begin with seeing. It begins with believing. The unseen world is the source of all that is visible, and your assumption is the bridge between the two. When you act in gratitude, you demonstrate faith in what is not yet seen, and that faith is what compels it into form. Think of gratitude as watering a seed. If you plant a seed and constantly worry about whether it will grow, you interfere with the process. But if you trust that it is already growing and care for it with faith, it flourishes. Your desires are no different. Give thanks as if they are already blossoming, and they will unfold in divine timing. So do not wait for proof before you give thanks. Speak words of gratitude as if your dream has already arrived. Feel the joy, the relief, the excitement of already having it. Let gratitude be your proof, and watch as the unseen transforms into reality before your very eyes. One of the greatest obstacles to receiving your desires is the need to control how they will come to you. The mind, conditioned by logic and past experiences, constantly tries to calculate, predict, and manipulate the path to manifestation. But the truth is, your job is not to figure out the how. Your only task is to assume that what you desire is already yours, and allow the unseen forces of creation to handle the details. When you try to control the process, you introduce resistance. You may begin to doubt, second guess, or worry about whether things are working in your favor. This tension disrupts the natural flow of manifestation because it signals to your subconscious mind that you are uncertain. Manifestation is not about effort or struggle. It is about trust. The moment you detach from how your desire will come, you create space for it to unfold effortlessly. Think of planting a seed. Once it is in the soil, you do not dig it up every day to check if it is growing. You simply trust that nature is taking care of it. You water it, give it sunlight, and allow it to develop in its own time. The same principle applies to your desires. The moment you assume them to be true, they are already set in motion. Your job is not to interfere with the process, but to remain in a state of knowing that they are unfolding perfectly. Many people delay their blessings because they get caught up in questioning how they will arrive. If they do not see immediate progress, they begin to doubt, worry, or try to force results. This is like someone who plants a seed and then constantly digs it up, preventing it from taking root. The unseen forces that govern reality are far more intelligent than the human mind can comprehend. They orchestrate events in ways that you could never predict or plan. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to the assumption that what you desire is already done. Consider how effortlessly life unfolds when you allow it. Your body breathes without you needing to think about it. The sun rises and sets without your intervention. Nature moves in perfect harmony without force or struggle. The same effortless intelligence is at work in bringing your desires into form. When you release the need to control, you allow this intelligence to operate freely. Detachment from the how also prevents disappointment. When you fixate on a specific way your blessing must come, you limit the infinite possibilities available to you. You may believe that a particular job, person, or situation is the only path to your desire, but the unseen forces of creation always have a better way. one that aligns perfectly with your highest good. When you release rigid expectations and trust the process, you open yourself to outcomes far greater than you imagined. One of the most powerful ways to practice detachment is to live as if your desire has already manifested. If you knew for certain that your dream was on its way, would you stress over how it would happen? No, you would relax, enjoy life, and trust that it is unfolding. This state of knowing is what draws your blessing to you effortlessly. Another way to cultivate detachment is to remind yourself of past manifestations. Think of times when something you wanted came to you in an unexpected way. At some point you let go of worry and simply trusted, and that is when it arrived. Use these experiences as proof that the process works. The same unseen intelligence that brought you blessings before will do so again. Let go of the need to control. Stop trying to force outcomes. Assume your desire is already yours and let the unseen forces handle the rest. What is meant for you will arrive in the perfect way, at the perfect time, without struggle. Trust, relax, and allow. The key to receiving everything you desire lies in your ability to assume it is already yours. Your assumption shapes your reality, and the feeling of already having what you seek is the secret to manifesting it. By living in the end, ignoring present limitations, expressing gratitude in advance, and detaching from the how, you align yourself with the unseen forces of creation. The universe is always responding to your inner state, mirroring back to you what you persistently believe to be true. Stop waiting for external proof. Act as if you are already blessed with everything. Walk, talk, and think from the state of fulfillment. Trust in the unseen process and allow your blessings to unfold effortlessly. What you desire is not coming, it is already here. Thank you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You have already won. The race is over. The prize is yours. The dream is fulfilled. How does it feel? What would you do differently if you knew without a shadow of a doubt that victory was already yours? Most people live in a state of waiting for success, for recognition, for love, for wealth. They believe that once they receive it, then they will feel worthy, confident, or secure. But this is an illusion. The truth is that your external world does not shape your inner state. Your inner state shapes your external world. You must act as if you have already won, not in arrogance, not in desperation, but in quiet, unwavering certainty. When you truly believe in your success, your actions, thoughts, and energy align with that reality. You walk differently, you speak differently, you expect good things to come to you. This is not about pretending, it is about knowing. The one who has already won does not chase, beg, or doubt. They do not look for proof. They are the proof. They wake up each day with an unshakable conviction that their desires are already on their way. The world will try to contradict you. It will present temporary setbacks, delays, and illusions of lack. But these are not real. They are remnants of an old belief system you are leaving behind. Ignore them. Persist in your new state of being. Hold fast to the feeling of already having, and the world will bow to your assumption. There is no need to wait for the physical evidence before you believe. The evidence comes after the belief, not before. If you desire wealth, carry yourself with the calm confidence of someone who is already wealthy. If you desire love, walk as though you are already cherished beyond measure. If you seek success, move through the world as someone who has already achieved it. Your only job is to remain faithful to this assumption. It is not about effort or struggle. The moment you assume the state of already having, the universe sets in motion all that is required for it to become your tangible reality. You have already won. Now act like it. Your life is nothing more than a mirror, reflecting back to you the thoughts, beliefs, and emotions you consistently entertain. Everything you see, everything you experience is simply a manifestation of the inner world you have cultivated. This truth is both liberating and daunting, for it means that nothing outside of you has any real control over your destiny. You are not at the mercy of circumstances, luck, or the will of others. The power is and has always been within you. When you act from the assumption that you have already won, the world must conform to that belief. It cannot resist, for reality is fluid, it bends and shapes itself according to your dominant state of mind. If you walk through life feeling as though you lack something, you will encounter situations that affirm that lack. If you see yourself as a failure, life will provide evidence to support that assumption. But the moment you shift your internal state and declare yourself victorious, not in some distant future, but here and now, the outer world has no choice but to reorganize itself in alignment with your conviction. This is not wishful thinking, it is the law of consciousness. The unseen world of your thoughts and emotions is the true cause. What you experience in the physical world is merely the effect. Most people believe the opposite. They think that when their circumstances change, then they will feel differently. They wait for success before they allow themselves to feel successful. They wait for love before they feel loved. They wait for wealth before they feel abundant. But this is an illusion. The outer world cannot change until the inner world does. If you knew with absolute certainty that you had already won, that the success, the love, the wealth, the fulfillment were all yours, how would you feel? How would you carry yourself? Would you walk with hesitation, or would you move with confidence? Would you second guess your decisions, or would you trust yourself completely? The person who knows they have already won does not beg, does not chase, does not fear. They do not look for evidence. They are the evidence. Their very presence declares that they have arrived. And so you must assume the same. You must take on the feeling of the wish fulfilled and live from that place now. Not tomorrow, not when things begin to shift. Now. When you do, something extraordinary happens. Doors begin to open where before there were none. People begin to respond to you differently. Opportunities that once seemed impossible suddenly fall into place. It is not magic, it is the natural consequence of embodying a new state of being. Doubt is the only thing that can interfere with this process. The moment you question whether it is working, whether reality is truly changing, you are affirming that you do not yet have what you desire. And so you must persist in the assumption. You must refuse to be swayed by the temporary illusion of the senses. If the world has not yet shown you proof, it does not matter. Your belief is the proof. When you act as if you have already won, you send a powerful message to the universe. This is who I am. And the universe responds in kind, rearranging itself to reflect your new identity. You will notice that circumstances shift effortlessly, that what once seemed difficult now unfolds with ease. This is not because the world has suddenly become easier. It is because you have changed. Your energy, your frequency, your entire way of being has aligned with the reality you desire, and so it becomes your experience. There is no need to struggle, to fight, to force things into place. The only work required is internal. Align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the reality you wish to experience, and the world will mold itself accordingly. Remember, it is not about pretending. It is about knowing. The moment you accept your victory as an absolute truth, life must bow to your assumption. Everything that exists in your life began first as a thought, a vision, an unseen idea that took root in your imagination. Before anything can be experienced in the physical world, it must first exist in the mind. Your imagination is not some idle playground of fantasies. It is the blueprint of your life. It is the creative force shaping your reality, the unseen architect constructing the world around you. What you mentally accept as true will inevitably manifest because your consciousness molds and directs the very fabric of reality. Most people do not realize the power of their imagination. They believe that what they see in the physical world is the ultimate reality, that their circumstances are fixed and beyond their control. But the truth is that your external world is merely a reflection of your internal state. Whatever you consistently assume, whatever you deeply believe to be true, will crystallize into your lived experience. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, if you hold the belief that success is difficult or unattainable, life will mirror that belief back to you. You will encounter obstacles, delays, and disappointments that seem to confirm your assumption. But these are not happening by chance. They are the result of the inner blueprint you have unconsciously accepted. Now, imagine the opposite. Imagine seeing yourself as victorious, as someone who has already achieved all they desire. Imagine holding firm to this vision, not as a distant dream, but as an absolute fact. When you do this, life has no choice but to align with that vision. Circumstances shift, people respond to you differently, opportunities appear seemingly out of nowhere. This is not coincidence, it is the law of consciousness in motion. The outer world must conform to the inner blueprint you have created. Many people make the mistake of using their imagination against themselves. They dwell on worst-case scenarios, replay past failures, and entertain fears of what could go wrong. Without realizing it, they are building a blueprint for struggle and disappointment. But the same power that can create failure can also create triumph. The key is to take control of your imagination and use it consciously. If you persistently imagine yourself as already successful, if you immerse yourself in the feeling of already having what you desire, your reality must shift to match that assumption. Doubt and fear may try to creep in, but they have no real power unless you accept them as true. The moment you allow your imagination to be dominated by fear, you are constructing a reality of limitation. But when you deliberately choose to see yourself as victorious, when you commit to that vision regardless of what the senses tell you, you begin to mold your world according to your desire. It is not about forcing things to happen, it is about assuming they already have. The one who knows they have already won does not question, does not chase, does not seek validation. They live from the state of already having, and in doing so they bring their vision to life. They do not need to see immediate proof because they understand that imagination precedes manifestation. What is real to them internally must become real externally. This is the secret that few understand. They wait for the world to change before they believe, but the truth is that belief must come first. Your imagination is the seed, and your unwavering assumption waters it into existence. You cannot plant a seed of doubt and expect a harvest of success. You must be disciplined in what you accept as true, for your mind is the soil in which your reality grows. The world will try to distract you, to convince you that things are the way they are and cannot be changed. But you must remember, everything you see was once unseen. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every moment of success was first an idea in someone's mind. The only difference between those who create extraordinary lives and those who do not is the ability to hold firm to their vision, to see themselves as victorious before the evidence appears. You have this power within you. Use your imagination wisely. See yourself as you wish to be. Feel the reality of it now, and life will have no choice but to align with that vision. It is not enough to merely wish for a better life. Wishing implies separation, a longing for something that exists outside of you. Desire, when left unfulfilled, can become a state of lack, reinforcing the very absence of what you seek. But the moment you shift from wishing to knowing, from hoping to embodying, everything changes. The key is not to wait for success to appear before you feel it. You must feel it now, before any evidence shows itself. When you do, the world has no choice but to conform to that inner state. Your feelings are the bridge between imagination and reality. They are the creative force that shapes your experience. Every emotion you hold, every assumption you entertain, sends out a signal, a vibration that reality must reflect back to you. If you feel lack, the world will mirror lack. If you feel defeated, life will show you more reasons to feel defeated. But when you embody the feeling of success, when you walk, speak, and think as though you have already won, the external world has no choice but to align with your conviction. Most people believe that once they achieve success, then they will feel successful. They think that once they acquire wealth, then they will feel abundant. Once they find love, then they will feel loved. But this is an illusion. The outer world is simply a reflection of your inner state. It does not create your feelings, it reflects them. The truth is that you must first feel the joy, the triumph, the confidence, and then the circumstances will shift accordingly. Imagine yourself as the person you wish to become. How would you carry yourself if you already had everything you desired? How would you speak? How would you walk into a room? Would you be hesitant, filled with doubt, questioning whether success is possible? Or would you move with certainty, knowing that you have already won? The person who knows they are successful does not wait for confirmation from the world. They are the confirmation. Their presence declares their triumph before anyone else can see it. This is not about pretending. It is about embodying. Pretending implies effort, struggle, an attempt to convince yourself of something you do not truly believe. But embodiment is effortless. It is a deep inner knowing that what you desire is already yours. It is the understanding that success is not something you chase, it is something you become. When you adopt this mindset, you no longer feel separate from your dreams. You no longer see them as distant possibilities, but as inevitable realities. Doubt is the only thing that can interfere with this process. The moment you begin to question whether it is working, whether things are truly shifting, you step out of the feeling of success and back into a state of lack. This is why persistence is necessary. You must hold on to the feeling even when the world has not yet caught up. The unseen reality you have created within will eventually take form, but only if you do not waver. The world does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. If you want wealth but feel poor, you will remain in a state of lack. If you want love but feel unworthy, you will continue to experience loneliness. But if you embody abundance, if you carry yourself with the certainty of someone who is already wealthy, if you radiate the confidence of someone who is deeply loved, then life must reflect that truth back to you. Everything begins within. There is no outside force deciding your fate, no external power controlling your destiny. The only force at work is your consciousness, your assumptions, your deeply held beliefs. The moment you decide to feel successful now, to embody the triumph before it appears, reality must shift to match your new state of being. It is law, it is inevitable. You are the creator of your experience. Act as if you have already won, and you will come to see that you have. The world you see with your physical eyes is nothing more than a reflection of your past thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. It is not the cause, it is the effect. Yet most people allow the evidence of the senses to dictate what they believe is possible. They look at their current circumstances and allow them to shape their mindset, not realizing that by doing so, they are simply reinforcing the very conditions they wish to change. If you desire wealth but look at your bank account and see lack, you may feel discouraged. If you wish to experience love but find yourself alone, you may begin to doubt. If you want success but see only failure, you might start to believe that it is beyond your reach. But this is the greatest deception of all, to trust what the senses tell you rather than the truth of your inner vision. What you see now is only a reflection of who you were, not of who you are becoming. The external world is always a step behind your consciousness. Reality does not change instantly, but that does not mean it is not shifting. When a seed is planted in the ground, you do not see immediate results. There is no visible proof that anything is happening beneath the soil. But if you persist in watering and nurturing it, in time, the seed must sprout. The same is true for the desires you hold in your imagination. The moment you assume something to be true, the process of its manifestation begins, even if the senses do not yet confirm it. The question is, will you persist in that assumption, or will you abandon it because the world has not yet shown you proof? Most people make the mistake of looking to their senses for validation. They say, "I will believe it when I see it." But this is backward thinking. You will see it when you believe it. The moment you truly accept something as real within, the world has no choice but to conform. However, if you waver, if you allow yourself to be discouraged by appearances, you uproot the very seed you planted. This is why persistence is the key. When you decide to assume victory, you must hold to that assumption, regardless of what the world presents to you. The senses may try to tell you that nothing is changing, that your circumstances remain the same, but do not be deceived. The unseen forces are at work. Reality is in the process of shifting, and if you persist, the world must yield to your assumption. There are those who, upon not seeing immediate results, give up too soon. They think it's not working and return to their old state of doubt and lack. But they do not realize that they were on the verge of success. Just because you cannot see the movement does not mean it is not happening. The greatest changes often occur beneath the surface, invisible to the human eye. The wise understand this and do not allow temporary appearances to dictate their belief. If you were truly victorious, would you question it? Would you look around and doubt? No, you would carry yourself with confidence, knowing that the victory is already yours. This is the attitude you must adopt now. You must act, think, and feel as if you already have what you desire, even when your senses suggest otherwise. You must refuse to be moved by the external world, instead remain loyal to the truth you have established within. The world will eventually catch up to your assumption, but only if you do not waver. If you persist, if you remain unmoved by appearances, then reality must bend to your will. It has no choice. It is law. Assume victory now, and despite what the senses tell you, hold firm to that assumption. In time, the world must reflect it. Doubt is the only enemy standing between you and the life you desire. It is not the external world, not circumstances, not the opinions of others. Only doubt within your own mind. You are always creating, whether you are aware of it or not. Every thought, every assumption, every belief is shaping your reality. The question is, are you creating from a place of faith or from a place of fear? Most people do not realize that their doubts are just as powerful as their faith. When you doubt, you are still using the same creative power, but you are directing it toward failure instead of success. The mind does not discriminate. It simply brings forth whatever you hold as true. If you persist in the belief that you will succeed, reality will conform to that assumption. But if you allow doubt to take hold, you will find yourself blocked at every turn. Doubt creeps in when you look to the external world for reassurance. You might have a strong vision of your success, but when you see no immediate proof, the mind begins to question. What if it doesn't work? What if I'm wrong? What if nothing changes? These thoughts seem harmless at first, but the moment you entertain them, you weaken your creative power. You start shifting your energy from certainty to hesitation, from confidence to fear, and the world, being a reflection of your state of mind, mirrors that hesitation back to you. But what if you refuse to doubt? What if you stood firm in the conviction that you have already won? The moment you believe it fully, doubt dissolves and the path unfolds effortlessly. This is because reality responds not to struggle but to certainty. It is only when you question and hesitate that obstacles appear. Imagine two individuals on a journey. One moves forward with absolute faith, knowing that they will reach their destination. The other stops every few steps, questioning if they are on the right path, hesitating, second-guessing, turning back to where they started. Who do you think will reach their goal? The answer is obvious. The one who persists without doubt moves steadily, while the one who hesitates remains stuck. Life operates in the same way. The only thing keeping you from the fulfillment of your desires is your own uncertainty. Doubt is an illusion, a trick of the mind. It only exists because you allow it to exist. The moment you choose to discard it, to trust in your vision completely, everything changes. The world begins to shift, doors open, opportunities present themselves, and what once seemed impossible becomes effortless. This is not because circumstances changed on their own, but because you changed. Your inner state determines your outer world. If you truly knew that you had already won, how would you feel? How would you act? Would you question? Would you hesitate? No. You would walk with confidence, speak with certainty, and move forward without fear. This is the key. You must embody the state of already having what you seek, regardless of what the external world shows you. The moment you do this, reality bends to match your assumption. Every great achievement, every success story is built on faith, not doubt. Those who accomplish extraordinary things are not necessarily the most talented or the most fortunate. They are the ones who refuse to entertain disbelief. They decide that their success is inevitable, and because they hold to that belief, it becomes their reality. You must do the same. Let go of doubt. Do not give it space in your mind. Instead, fill yourself with the absolute knowing that you have already won. The moment you do, the path will clear and life will move in your favor. It has no choice. Reality must reflect what you believe to be true. Most people spend their lives chasing after what they desire, believing that through effort, struggle, and persistence they will eventually attain it. They push, they fight, they work tirelessly, yet often the thing they seek seems just out of reach. This is because they are operating under a false assumption, the belief that they must force their reality to change. But true transformation does not come through struggle. It comes through assumption. To assume is to accept something as already true, as already yours, without the need for proof. It is to step into the state of having rather than the state of wanting. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you bypass all resistance. You do not ask when or how it will happen, because you no longer see it as something in the future, you know it as a present reality. The mind is always creating. It is either creating from a place of lack or from a place of fulfillment. When you chase something, you are affirming that it is separate from you, that it is something outside of your grasp, and so reality reflects this separation back to you, keeping you in a cycle of pursuit. But when you assume, you shift your entire being into a new state, a state in which the thing you desire is already yours. Imagine two people who desire wealth. One constantly chases it, working harder, seeking opportunities, worrying about money, always feeling like it is just beyond their reach. The other simply assumes the identity of someone who is already wealthy. They think, speak, and act as though abundance is a natural part of their life. They feel wealthy before the evidence appears. Over time, life begins to mirror this assumption, bringing circumstances, opportunities, and experiences that match their inner state. The world is not separate from you, it is a reflection of you. The moment you embody the version of yourself that has already attained what you desire, reality must align accordingly. This is not wishful thinking. It is a law of consciousness. Everything you experience is a projection of your inner world. When you stop chasing and start assuming, you remove all barriers between you and the fulfillment of your desires. This is why struggle is unnecessary. You do not need to force anything to happen, you only need to be it internally. If you were already in possession of what you seek, how would you feel? How would you walk? How would you speak? How would you move through life? Step into that version of yourself now. Act not as someone who hopes to receive, but as someone who already has. Most people resist this concept because they believe they must first see proof before they can feel the reality of their desire. But this is backward thinking. You do not wait for circumstances to change before you shift your state. You shift your state first, and then circumstances must follow. It has always been this way. Every great achievement, every remarkable transformation first began as an assumption held in the mind of its creator. You do not chase the air you breathe. You do not struggle to receive the sunlight. These things are effortlessly available to you. In the same way, what you desire is already available. It only requires your assumption. The moment you truly accept it within, the external world will rearrange itself to reflect that truth. Let go of the need to chase. Let go of the belief that struggle is necessary. Instead, step into the version of yourself who already has what you seek. Move through life from that place and watch as the world reshapes itself in response. This is the secret to effortless manifestation. Assume, and it must be. Everything you desire is already within your reach. not through struggle, not through chasing, but through assumption. The world is simply a reflection of your inner state, mirroring back to you what you consistently hold as true. When you act as if you have already won, when you embody the feeling of success, when you refuse to be deceived by the evidence of the senses, life must conform to your assumption. Doubt is the only thing that stands in your way, but the moment you dissolve it, the path becomes effortless. You do not need to force, beg, or wait for proof. Assume your wish is already fulfilled. Walk with the confidence of someone who has already arrived. Live in the certainty that what you seek is already yours. Reality has no choice but to align with the state you persistently occupy. You are the creator of your experience. Choose to create from a place of faith, not fear. Choose to assume rather than chase. The moment you do, life will move in your favor in ways you never imagined. Thank you.